Hey everyone, welcome to the Pawareness podcast, and thanks for joining me. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, and also check us out at pawareness.org and on Instagram at pawareness_official. On Instagram, we are doing submissions for Pet of the Week, where you can submit your foster pet, and we'll pick one winner every month, and we'll give $200 to their choice of charity or foster. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Pawareness podcast. Today I have Brooke Howell with the Love Pit, and she is the PR communication coordinator. And I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself, the organization. So go ahead, Brooke. Thank you so much for coming on, and take it away.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having us. So I am the PR communications director for the Love Pit, and the Love Pit is a 501c3 foster-based organization in Dallas. We are completely nonprofit rescue, and we're focused on saving the pit bull through rescue rehabilitation, education, training, and advocacy.
Perfect. And this is my first time I've actually interviewed, focused on a specific breed. Now, I know that pit bulls, very top level, there's these misconceptions, I guess, if you will. Do you think that's, changing it all? And also, I wanted to talk about, what are some of those misconceptions? Do you still face those? It's 2021, right? Are there still misconceptions? I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. The pit bull, there are a lot of myths around them, right? And it's interesting because, back in the 1700s, 1800s, in the 1900s, that was America's dog. They were in the movies. People loved this pit bull because there's these gentle dogs. They're goofy, they're friendly, they're loyal. And then kind of towards the end of the 20th century, that really switched. And there was this huge move in dog fighting and so many myths that were happening. So there are a lot of things that we are still combating against. And that's one of our big missions, is to really change those misconceptions and really rehabilitate the reputation of the pit bull. But, we still see it all the time. Pit bulls are one of the breeds that are most targeted that die the most often in shelters. They're hard to adopt out. A lot of times shelters won't adopt out pit bulls, they'll only do toward rescues. And that's because they believe these dogs are a liability. So a lot of times people might think that a pit bull might be more aggressive, or it might be more prone to fighting or attacking. And it simply isn't true. Pit bulls aren't an aggressive breed. A lot of times when you see stories about dog bites, a lot of times if it is a pit bull that did the biting, they're going to call out that it was a pit bull that bit somebody, right? But say if it was any other breed, they're never going to say a golden retriever bit somebody. It's always, they're going to call it the pit bull, and they're going to keep perpetuating that myth. And a lot of times when you see these animals that have been fought, it's a failure on the part of the human. A lot of times dogs are the victims of their situation, and they're victims of the people who have been in their lives, and they're scared and haven't been treated correctly. But we really are here to rehabilitate their image through education and show people what a pit bull really is like. So even when I say pit bull isn't actually a breed. There's no registered pit bull. You know what I mean?
I've heard this. Yeah.
Yeah. So pit bull is actually an umbrella term, and it can be, there's the American bulldog, there's the bull terrier, there's the American Staffordshire terrier. So kind of pit bull is just this umbrella term for a big-headed, goofy dog. But even when you look at reports of most bites by breed or most aggressive breed, pit bull's never at the top. It's just they have this image that we're trying to rehabilitate, and we're trying to show people these are good, friendly family animals, and they're companion animals, and they don't deserve the reputation they've been given, and they don't deserve to not have a chance in a shelter or to be the most highly euthanized breed of dog. They are just as valuable and just as loving as any other dog.
And because you're so specific, I have a few questions around that, right? I guess my first question is are other people or other organizations, are they sending pit bulls your way because you're such a specific type organization? Then do you get referrals oh, maybe this dog's a good fit here, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the way our intake team works is we're still very small right now, and we're growing year over year. But the way our intake team works is we unfortunately don't have the resources taken an owner surrender or taken a stray, but we have really great relationships with some of these shelter partners. So Dallas Animal Services, Garland Animal Services, Fort Worth Animal Care and Control. So those are 3 really big shelters around the North Texas area. They know that we focus on bully breeds. And so if they know they have a dog that they might have trouble moving, or they know they have a dog that is up for euthanization, they might reach out to us and see if we can consider them for intake.
That's so cool. And because you're so specific, it's more than just pit bull, right? So what does that entail? Like what makes you different than other rescues? Is there like certain training? Are you training the dogs? Are you training the people? Like, is it just educational? Like, what's that like? Like, how does that work?
It's a lot of different things. So we really want to be that full, that well-rounded rescue that educates people and also works on our dogs. So everybody is set up for a lifetime success. So when we look at intaking a dog, we actually have a voting system. We want to make sure we have the resources to help this dog be its best self. So like I said, we are fully foster based. So when we bring in a dog, we've evaluated it for medical needs, we've evaluated it for training, just making sure that we have the people and we have the resource and we have the budget to smartly rescue this dog. So when we bring in the dog, say a dog has been accepted to our program, and then we need to find it a foster. So we'll never be the people that just say, okay, we have a dog, go take it. You know, we have what's called a bully buddy team, and they're really our liaisons between the dogs and between our fosters. And so they'll look at the fosters and they'll consider what's their experience level, what's their home like, can they handle a medical dog right now? Like, what is something they can really handle? And we'll match up that dog with that foster. So while that dog is in foster care, we want to make sure that it hits these training milestones. So we have something that's called Bully Good Dog. And that means our training team is going to work with the foster and help the foster dog hit these very specific training milestones. It's made things like come when called, crate training, house training, leash walking. And it's just things that are making sure this dog is a balanced, happy dog that's ready for adoption. And then on the other side of that, we also have our medical team, and they work with our medical partners across North Texas to address all the dog's medical needs. And TLP will cover all the medical costs for our fosters. And so between the training team and the bully buddy team and the medical team, we make sure the dog is really taken care of, it is really healthy and in a really good spot before we reach out for adoption. And our process is kind of long for adoption. So, and I'm sure people will tell you this, I've adopted 2 dogs from TLP, and even I will tell you, our adoption application, it's long, you know, but it's because we want to know the kind of homes we're putting our dogs in. And even more than that, we want to make sure they're in a home that really is going to make everybody happy. So when somebody applies, they'll apply through the adoptions team. And then our adoptions team reaches out and they have a conversation. They talk about, what kind of dog are you looking for? What is your family like? What are your other dogs like? You know, and if it sounds like the dog they applied for is a good match, then we move forward. And if it's not, it's like, well, let's talk about these other dogs. They'll work to set up those matches. And then we go back to the foster. After the adoptions team has interviewed, they've done a home check. Right now we're doing virtual home checks because you just can't go out to people's homes, but we'll do like FaceTime and stuff. And you know, people just love to show off. They're like, oh, here's where his bowl's going to go. And here's where the bed's going to go. Then we'll set meet and greets with the fosters. And sometimes we'll have the train team on hand if there's going to be 2 dogs meeting at the same time, just make sure everyone is safe and happy. And we'll do like a meet and greet with the family and the dog. And then sometimes we'll do 2 meet and greets or 3 meet and greets, but it's just to make sure that this is a really good fit and everyone is really comfortable and really happy with this match. And then the adoption goes through. But then after that, our adoption alumni team comes in and they begin establishing a relationship with the adopter. So we have the adoption alumni team. We have a Facebook group for TLP alumni. So we're always staying in touch and we're always checking in and making sure everybody is still happy and still healthy and still where they need to be.
That's so cool that you're creating that kind of like community environment, which I think is really important. And what about
it's all about creating those people lovers? Yeah,
exactly. What about the foster? Like is it just individuals that are fostering? Like, is that a pretty thorough process as well? What's the wait list like on that? And what's the turnover rate like? Because I mean, I know how fosters go. At least, you know, some people, they were like, I must take this. They build that connection, and then, you know, and then they're kind of like out of the system. You know, they're just, because they're like, I can't take any more dogs. Like, how does that work? Are they just not getting, you know, attached? Or,
you know, we always need fosters. So when you say getting attached, you mean the turnover is in like them adopting their dogs out?
Yeah,
or them
one of the problems with fostering is just, you know, sometimes like always needing more people because, you know, sometimes the fosters turn into the adopters, right? Like,
yeah. So I've one foster fail right now. So I know,
Yeah.
And it's because we foster failed her that I can't foster fail anyone else.
Exactly.
You know, yeah, that's something that I think that's the number one thing I hear all the time is like, I couldn't foster because I couldn't give him up. I would never give him away. But there is no better feeling than dropping your dog off to their forever family. Because you're not just, I'm on my 14th foster right now. So I have 4 residents, and I've had 14 fosters over the years. And there's always just this feeling of after you drop them off, like, I did it, like I took this dog that maybe didn't have a chance, and I showed her how to be part of a family. I helped her heal, and I was this bridge to putting her into a family and completing that other family. It's always tough. It's always heartbreaking, but it's kind of that good kind of heartbreak. Like we actually just, I don't know if you're looking at our website the past couple of weeks, but we just fostered this little bulldog named Figgy Pudding. And she was like, I'm sure you've seen cute dogs, but you haven't seen a dog like just this little bowling ball with eyes. Like she was so cute and so sweet. And she loved my pack. And like my husband and I went back and forth. I'm like, should we keep her? Like I had people that I didn't even talk to at work, like who just saw her on my Facebook and were like, oh, how can I adopt this dog? Like people were coming out of the woodwork. Like we had more applications for her than we usually get for puppies, Wow. And I was asking my husband, because fosters always get first dibs, I guess, on the dog. And I was like, did we make a mistake in not adopting Figgy? And he was kind of quiet. And then he goes, no, I want her to bring joy to another family. Like, and maybe she'll convince them to continue supporting the love pit. And she ended up going, she just got adopted last Friday. And the family she went to, they had adopted another TLP alum. And he unfortunately passed due to medical issues. He had a lot of mental things, and eventually they had to put him down. And they were heartbroken. And I just remember like dropping them, like the day she came to pick up Figgy, and just like, she was tearing up because she missed her dog, but she also is going to live this dog. And just knowing that the space in their hearts that my dog could fill, like I was so happy to be part of that journey. So that's my story. But I think a lot of people feel that way. Like you fall in love with your foster dog, but we know why we're here. Like we're here because we want to save dogs, and we're here because we want to get good pit bulls into good homes. All pit bulls are good pit bulls, but you know what I mean? Like we want to complete these families. And so it's heartbreak, but it's good heartbreak. And it's always just like a job well done. Like the day after Figgy got adopted, like somebody one of them on our medical team texted me, and she was like, do you need wine or cookies? Are you okay? And I was like, yeah, like I did my job, like I saved this dog. I brought her to their family, and it's just, and I'm ready to get my heart broken again, because it means that I'm saving these dogs.
I think that's like some of the best advice I've ever heard in terms of like people wanting to get into fostering, not just pit bulls, but any dog. It's just having that, like, being self-aware and having that why, and knowing like, okay, why am I doing this? And when you know that, it's like, it makes the hurt not as bad. And that, okay, well, like you're just going to facilitate that relationship on the next dog you get. And so that's kind of what kept me going too, even though, like you said, sometimes you build up these attachments, and, sometimes they're stronger than others. Some
dogs that you're like, okay, you're done. You made it, and then,
yeah.
And then some of the dogs will stick with you. But I've also made so many friends, like through the people who have adopted my foster dogs. And so that's the great thing about TLP, is we stay in touch with that community of adopters. So I'm still hearing that, like, one dog grabbed a pork loin off the counter, but I'm still hearing that, like, another dog is, running 5Ks with their adopter. So it's great.
Yeah. And now I have a question about because you guys are so hands-on, you have the vet team, and then you have the trainers. You really are only working with people in your area, right? Like,
we focus on North Texas, but we do have a couple of fosters down in Austin, and they're kind of,
okay.
They might come up here. If we pull a dog from our North Texas shelters, they might come up and pick up that dog to foster. So we have some kind of fosters throughout Texas, but we are mostly located in North Texas.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I think that hands-on approach, not cookie cutter at all, I think is really, really cool. So definitely anyone in the North Texas region, they need to check you guys out.
We're always looking for volunteers. And the great thing about TLP is even if you don't have space in your home to foster a dog, we have so many opportunities to help. So, and a lot of them are also remote opportunities. So you might want to be on the adoptions team, and so you're interviewing applicants, or on the medical team and you're helping make, like you don't even need medical experience to be on the medical team. We have a really great medical director, and she will help you get where you need to be, but being on the medical team really means you're answering questions, you're making appointments, or we have the training team, or even Bully Buddy, which I mentioned is the liaison between the fosters and the team. So there's so many great opportunities. We have kennel techs. If you are in the area and you want to be more hands-on, we have our HQ location, which is where we keep some of our dogs in boarding. And you can come up and spend 2 hours just playing with and walking the dogs and going through their mental stimulation. So there's a lot of different ways you can get involved, whether you have like 2 hours a week, whether you have, if you're me and you have 20 hours a week,
Yeah.
if you just love working for free, if you're me, but no, if you have a few minutes a week, if you have a couple hours a month, wherever you're located, there's always ways to get involved and help us save the pit bull.
That's awesome. And what about you exactly? Like, I know that you mentioned 14 fosters. How long have you been fostering in general? And like, have you always been passionate about animals, or how did you get introduced to this?
Yeah. So I always tell, we got our second dog from the Humane Society of North Texas.
Okay.
And at the shelter, I was like, oh, so what breed is she? And the volunteer goes, she's a terrier. Oh, okay. All right. We brought her home, and my friend goes, did you get a pit bull? I was like, oh, did I? Like she's like 40 pounds. She's this tiny little brindle girl, but she's got a big old head and like a goofy little mouth, and she's so funny. And I was like, well, damn, I think I got a pit bull. That's awesome. So anybody who would listen, I told them I had a pit bull. So I was at a Christmas party, and someone said, if you have a pit bull, you need to look into the Love Pit. They're this group in Dallas. This was in 2017. You need to look into the Love Pit. They do a lot of good work for pit bulls. And I was like, that's right, because I'm a pit bull owner. So I start following them on social media, and they're doing so much good stuff. And then in like June of 2018, they post this like pig dog, just this like squishy, like mama of a dog, this white dog. And I was like, oh, that's mine. She's mine. I have to have her. And so we do the meet and greet. She's incredible. So we ended up adopting her, and she was my first TLP dog. Her name is Pearl. And it was such a good experience, just from the interviewing with the adoptions team to the support after adoption to the alumni group. Like, it was such a cool experience to be in this community of people who are also like, hell yeah, I have a pit bull too, and all of a sudden I have two of them. So it was, so I start kind of making friends with people. And I friended Afton Bell, who's our owner on Facebook, or not, I'm sorry, not our owner. She is our founder and board chair. I friended her on Facebook, and she posted something about like, hey, Fort Worth folks, I'm in Fort Worth, which is about 30 miles west of Dallas. She's like, hey, Fort Worth folks, if anybody can bring this dog into their home, we really want to bring him to our program. We need a foster. And I was like, well, we already have 3 dogs. What's 4? So I just applied to be a foster. I thought, why not? And so I get on the phone. I have an interview to be a foster, and it's just such a cool vibe talking to people who also want to save these dogs. So we got our first foster in February of 2019. And so we've only foster failed 1 since then. But yeah, so everything since February 2019, we fostered. We're on our 14th dog right now.
And what's that? Obviously, you've got a pretty quick turnover rate there, it seems like. I was just going to ask, like, what's that average turnover rate like with your fosters? Like a month, couple months?
It depends on kind of what the dog needs. It could be if they have a lot of different medical needs, if they have some training needs. It's usually about a month or 2 for me. I take breaks in between fosters. Usually it's about a month or 2 to get them where they need to be medically and training wise, and to get them on the site and promote them. So typically when you foster, I think you can kind of expect maybe a month or 2, but then again, dogs are unpredictable. You could also have a dog that's with you for a couple of years, but our thing is all about making sure the foster is comfortable. So we work with the foster. If we know you're a first time foster, we're not going to give you like a medical case or a training case or something. So it's the really dedicated fosters that get those long-term dogs.
Yeah, I noticed that it was before the call. There was a guy that he has 1 eye, right? Like he's missing an eye, and he's your dog. And that's kind of what I wanted to ask was a dog owner who already has a mini dog pack, right? But yet you're fostering. What's that like in terms of introducing a new dog into the mix? Does that help with the training process at all? Like seeing these well-trained dogs, does it kind of stir it up in a bad way? What's maybe just to anyone listening right now that may have a couple of dogs, but they're like, hey, this fostering thing sounds pretty cool. Like, let me give it a shot. What advice would you have for those types of people?
Yeah, the key is always structure. Like for us, like I said, we have 4 residents, and then we just had 2 fosters, but now we only have 1. And the key is really structure. You teach your dogs what their boundaries are. You teach them what to expect. You teach them where they need to be. For us, the crate was a lifesaver. So now we have all of our dogs who are they eat in their crates and they sleep in their crates. And that also gives them their own little space they can go and decompress. So I'm very fortunate that my pack is pretty balanced. And usually after 3 or 4 days, after we bring a new foster home and they have time to decompress and figure out which way is up, we slowly introduce them to my pack. And my pack is pretty balanced and has an established leader. So it usually works out. But we have some people that need to crate and rotate. So maybe their dog will be out for a while the foster's in the crate, and then you swap them. It's just kind of figuring out what works for your team. But I just think the number one thing is just to teach structure. You teach your dogs, you tell them what to do, you tell them where to be, and you just kind of establish that calm confidence in your house.
I like that. That's great advice. And yeah, the crates, definitely have seen some firsthand. The crates are a game changer for sure.
And it used to be, when I first just had like my little one-eyed dog, my pit bull ally is what we call him. He's a Chihuahua mix. And, in my first pit mix from Humane Society, they were great together. I don't need to crate my dog. My dogs are good. Or, people say like, oh, well, my dog doesn't need the crate anymore. But since we have several dogs now, we've been fostering, you really learn what a magical tool the crate is. Like, not only does it it gives everybody a break, it gives everybody a safe space to enjoy their treats or to nap. It kind of lets them know that they're off duty. Like, they don't need to bark at the door. They're in their own safe space. They can rest, they can be calm, and they get into that calm mind state, which is what you really want. If you can get your dogs just to be calm and they trust that you're in charge of the environment. Like, I'm not going to let anything hurt you. I'm not going to bring anything into this environment that is going to put them in danger. And I think they trust that because they know they have their crates and they know they're somewhere safe and they know that they can be calm. Crate training is the number one thing. And I was talking to my boss about it today. And my boss said, I've never put a dog in a crate that didn't just go crazy and lose its mind. And it's like, well, yeah, some dogs will test you like that. I've been there too. But just, I think one of the best investments you can put into your dog is teaching them crate training and just giving them that calm, safe space.
That's a really good way to talk about it, just especially from like the dog's mindset. I've never thought about it like that before. So that's really cool.
Yeah. If you think about it, dogs are den animals. Like they want to be in that cozy space and they want to be where they're safe.
Yeah, exactly. Like that makes total sense. Talking about it now.
Like I want to go to my room, Brad Bevel, who's a behavioralist in Dallas, that talks about like, I want to go to my room and chill out. Like I want to have just a quiet space. Like your dog is the same way. They don't need someone in their face all the time.
That's exactly it. What else about the Love Pit? Like in terms of what are you guys working on this year? What are some goals? I know COVID's kind of messed up like physical events and whatnot, but what are you guys working on that you're excited about?
Yeah, so we used to have a lot of really, really fun events. And so COVID has forced us to pivot and to get really creative with that. So we're doing a lot of fun events. We just kicked off our first speaker series. So every month we have a different guest or it might be a leader within our organization that gets on Facebook Live and we just talk kind of like you and I are talking now. We just had Afton, who is our founder and our board chair. And she talked about what it's like having a house full of rescue dogs and what made her want to start the Love Pit in 2015, which is she literally rescued a pit bull in the middle of traffic and then all grew from there. So we're promoting that speaker series. So we'll have another one this month. So usually every February we have what's called like our Cupid Gala. And it's where everyone gets dressed up and we go out and we be fancy, but we can't do that. We can still dress up and be fancy, but we have to do it in our houses. So the way we pivoted that is it's an online auction. So we've talked to all of our favorite vendors and our favorite partners and some of the really great people who have been supporting our mission. And they put up items for auction. And we had like a 2-day online party where people could bid and buy things and talk to us and get, reconnect with people. So we're looking for fun stuff like that. We're still able to go out and do Shelter Helpers, which is our program where we go out to our local shelters. It might be Dallas Animal Shelter or Fort Worth Animal Care and Control. And we have a very small group and we go out and we walk the dogs in the shelter, we wash them, we'll evaluate them for intake. So that's still going on. That's one of our only in-person events. We also have pack walks. So we do that every month and it's a very small group, but all dogs are welcome. So we have our training team on hand and we invite everybody to bring your dog, like big-headed goofball or not, bring your dog. We start from our HQ location in Dallas, and it's just a great way to everybody to get out, stay distanced, but get experience walking your dog in a pack. and helping socialize your dog and meeting other people who feel the same way you do about rescuing dogs. So there's lots of great ways to get involved. I know our events team is busy just thinking of super fun, creative, virtual things we can do. We miss getting out there. We used to have a lot of stuff for Pride. We would have like a brew tour where we would meet around different breweries all across North Texas. So as soon as we can safely do that, we're going to get back to doing that. But right now it's just finding fun ways to connect and raise funds online.
Yeah, and I think we're all there where it's just like, can't wait to it's just about building that community, and you really can meet so many cool people that are just like you said, just into, excited about fosters, rescues, pit bulls. It's really cool when you get to talk with those people in person, but Zoom, I guess we'll have to do for now. But
the cool thing about virtual is that it used to be like, one of our directors was out of town for Cupid last year, and so she couldn't go. But now that it's virtual, people can invite their friends from all over the country. Everybody can attend and everybody can be part of like this pit bull party. So that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. That is the silver lining for sure. Okay, so where can people find you guys at? Where, social medias, like how can people get in touch?
Yeah, so we are on Facebook and Instagram at The Love Pit. And then you can find our website at thelovepitrescue.org.
Perfect. And all of that, no matter what medium you're listening on, will be in the description below. But Brooke, thank you so much for coming on. I felt like I learned a lot, and really, really interesting talking with you about pit bulls. I learned a lot. So thank you.
Oh, good. Good. Yes. Thanks for having us. Well, me and my one-eyed dog, I guess.
Right.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I love, not a lot of people let me just talk nonstop for 20 minutes about pit bulls. So I had a lot of fun.
That's perfect. All right. Well, thank you.